In the midst of a brutal onslaught, a stronghold finds itself up against a mighty adversary, the god of war himself, Taizong, the Tang Empire's emperor. Simultaneously, it has only 5,000 brave souls to stand against Taizong's formidable force of 200,000 men, which is marching to siege the nation of Goguryeo. Opposing this colossal army is Goguryeo's general, Yeo Yan, who is prepared to front Taizong's armies with his 150 men fighting to protect his nation during a pivotal battle at Mount Drupal. Unfolding beneath them, the scene of battle is observed by a Goguryeo clairvoyant, believed to commune with the deity of Goguryeo. Leading the charge for Yan's ranks are the brothers Samuel and... Initially, it appears that they've gained an upper hand against the adversaries. Nonetheless, their fortune changes as a secondary legion of Taizongs swarm from the rear to encircle them, turning the tide of the battle. Yan's battalion begins to suffer heavy losses, yet Samuel and his brother stand their ground courageously. Even though the clairvoyant had predicted the defeat, it's a significant blow when Yan orders his squad to withdraw. The retreat results in the tragic demise of Samuel's brother, who succumbs while trying to relay the command. The battle-battered Goguryeo forces retreat, their spirits shattered. Samuel bears the heart-wrenching burden of his brother's corpse as they return home. In the aftermath, Taizong captures the Goguryeo clairvoyant and her sacred bow and arrow, a holy artifact of Goguryeo. Despite attempts, Taizong fails to handle the sacred weapon. Preparing for his next foray, he learns the capital of Goguryeo, Ansi Stronghold, is their next target. The castle's reputation precedes it. Its commander, Yang, does not adhere to Yan's orders and is viewed as a defector by Goguryeo, landing him devoid of support from its capital. After the crumbling defeat, Yan entrusts Samuel with a crucial mission. As Yang and his troops declined Yan's call to fight at Mount Drupal, a possible cause for their loss, Samuel must infiltrate Ansi and execute Yang. Samuel is the ideal candidate for this task, as he was previously a resident of Ansi and can thus successfully infiltrate their fortress. Yet, Samuel fears that eliminating Yang may serve to render the people of the Ansi Fortress vulnerable to Taizong's forces. Jan believes that if the people of Ansi continue to follow Yang, they are in fact behaving treacherously, and as such, he thinks they are deserving of death. They plan on abandoning Ansi to make a stand against Taizong in the capital instead. During a journey to Ansi, Samuel comes across two lost soldiers from Goguryeo who express their desire to join him on his mission to assassinate Yang. Along the way, they help two men who are having trouble extricating their donkey cart from a muddy pit. Samuel seizes this opportunity to ask for directions to locate Yang, the leader of Ansi. Much to his surprise, one of the men identifies himself as Yang. The two Goguryeo soldiers impulsively launch an attack on Yang, but they are easily eliminated by Yang's robust General Chu. Samuel cleverly announces that he hails from Ansi and insists that he is known among the locals. This prompts Yang to instruct Chu to take Samuel into custody for further questioning, but not before Chu knocks him unconscious. When Samuel regains consciousness, he discovers they have reached Ansi's fortress. Meanwhile, Yang is called upon in the market where two of his officers, Pung and Walbo, are involved in a quarrel. Yang intervenes, indicating his high status and respect among the people. Subsequently, Yang interrogates Samuel, suspecting him of being a spy intending to murder him. Samuel instead claims he is fleeing from Taizong's forces and wishes to join their ranks. Yang contemplates this and introduces Samuel to his generals, assigning him the task of carrying the commander's flag, signaling the commander's location during battles. In the ensuing night, Samuel trails Yang through the empty streets armed with a dagger, only to discover Yang visiting a humble couple who recently had a baby. The couple has dedicated the baby's name to Yang, showing the deep respect the local people have for him. The next day, observing Yang assisting the commoners, an elderly man confides in Samuel that the locals equate Yang to the fortress itself. He embodies Ansi. Later, Chu notifies Yang about General Passo's absence and insinuates he might be asleep, leading Yang to visit Passo's home, only to find his sister Becca misbehaving, which angers Yang immensely. Passo is pursued by a marksman, yet Becca defends him. Yang expresses his apprehension, anticipating that one of them might fall during the impending struggle, a blow to the surviving one. Even so, Becca reassures him that they are adequately prepared. At the blowing of a horn, Yang ascends the fortress walls, discovering a reconnaissance unit dispatched by Taizong. With his troops nearing, the defense unit led by Ansi readies themselves for the ensuing siege. The nervous Samuel is urged by Yang to groom his beard prior to the battle, as this might afford Samuel an ideal opportunity to fulfill his mission to assassinate Yang. He is startled when Yang opines that the time is not ripe for such a mission, guaranteeing him that better opportunities will arise, displaying that he has figured Samuel out. At the arrival of Taizong's gargantuan army, counting 200,000 soldiers armed with an assortment of siege weapons, the comparatively minuscule 5,000-strong Ansi force feels trepidation. Nonetheless, Yang heartens them with a stirring speech concerning their purpose in the conflict, earning the admiration of Taizong for his courage. As the warfare ensues, Taizong's troops launch boulders against the Ansi stronghold, creating considerable damage, but unable to break the sand-filled walls. Following Taizong's instruction, his troops begin the attempted ascent of the fortress walls, initiating a violent confrontation. Despite the formidable siege ladders offering Taizong's forces accessible penetration into the fortress, Yang's troops resist heroically. Anticipating Yang's cue, the cavalry units led by Becca and Passo wait, reposing their complete trust in their commander. As the signal is given, the two units launch a side assault against the enemy. Concurrently, Taizong's forces breach the fortress door, only to be ensnared in a trap set by Yang. From their fortress heights, Yang orders the release of colossal crossbows, which topple the enemy ladders, leaving Taizong with no other alternative but to signal for withdrawal. The odds-defying victory is a shock to Samuel, who later dreams about his previous defeat at Mount Drupal, in which he was accused of betrayal by Yon. Yang finds Samuel in his quarters, brandishing a dagger against him, questioning about Yang's defiance of Yon's orders. In reply, Yang reveals a truth: Yon's murder of their king. Samuel says that it was necessary given that the king was releasing the prisoners of Taizong and that he was clearly under the influence of Taizong. Yang objects, maintaining that initiating a war, which started with the king's assassination and was completely avoidable, is what precipitated the conflict. Despite this, Samuel argues that irrespective, the conflict did ensue as a result of Yang's refusal to dispatch support to Mount Drupal, causing the death of multitudes of Goguryeo fighters. Yang counters that directly combating Taizong would lead to certain death. He further argues, were his soldiers to join the fray, they would surely be slain. Samuel brands him a coward and commands him to support General Yon. Yang retorts, his obligation lies in safeguarding Goguryeo. A horn blares suddenly in the distance, signaling Taizong army's return, now equipped with colossal siege towers. Samuel seizes Yang while Chu arrives to relay this information and moves to slay Samuel. Yang, however, stays his hand, emphasizing the top priority at hand, Taizong's forces. The siege towers allow a swarm of Taizong's soldiers to breach the fortress, overpowering the Ansi army. Yang devises a desperate plan to fling oil-filled pouches, igniting them with flaming arrows aiming to immolate the siege towers. In the course of implementing this, in between skirmishes with Taizong's forces on the wall, he sustains a spear hit on his shoulder. As he clocks one of Taizong's generals about to strike, Samuel intercepts at the last possible moment, impaling the heart of the general. Yang collapses, to awaken 4 days later, expressing gratitude to Samuel for his well-timed intervention. In the light of his small fortress and minuscule forces repeatedly thwarting his advances, the army of Taizong is incensed and devises a new strategy. Simultaneously, the clairvoyant arrives at Ansi with the sacred bow and arrow, bearing Taizong's final warning and detailing his final move: creation of an immense mound of earth, towering higher than Ansi's walls. This would be their last chance to fend off an attack and prevent Ansi's inevitable downfall. Yet Yang remains steadfast in his refusal to submit. As time lapses and the mound construction proceeds hastily, Samuel purports seeking backup from the capital. Yang revokes, knowing Yan would never assist him. Paso devises a plan to assassinate Taizong directly before the mound is completed. Becca is furious to discover that Yang has approved Paso's perilous mission to assassinate Taizong just before the burial mound is finished. Yang insists it's their sole opportunity. Despite her worries, Becca sees Paso off, trusting his vow to survive. Paso and his crew are abruptly caught in a trap upon their arrival to neutralize Taizong, indicating the presence of a traitor in Ansi who leaked the plot details beforehand. Badly hurt and on the brink of death, Paso returns to Ansi, revealing the presence of the informant before succumbing to his injuries. The mole, known as the clairvoyant, admits to her betrayal, claiming she foresaw their failure against Taizong. She pleads with Yang to surrender to the emperor, but Samuel slits her throat in defiance, proclaiming that Ansi will stand strong. In revenge for her fallen partner, Becca embarks on a solitary mission to take down Taizong. Despite accomplishing a minor injury on his cheek, Becca's attempt ends tragically with her violent demise by Taizong's soldiers. After burying Paso and Becca, Samuel undertakes a solo journey to the capital to request reinforcements from General Yan, explaining that, despite being branded traitors, the people of Ansi valiantly defend Goguryeo against Taizong's forces and urgently require his assistance. Back at Ansi, an idea strikes Yang while observing a group of children playing in the sand. He proposes a plan to the Ansi miners to excavate a tunnel beneath the burial mound to topple it, to which they agree. Chu warns that they must seize the fortress post-collapse to prevent a secondary assault. The miners take action and commence their digging expedition. As the mound and cave finish, the day of reckoning approaches. The miners inform Yang that the cave's columns are too damp to burn and suggest cutting them down to cause the mound to collapse. Despite Yang's concern over their safety, the miners willingly sacrifice themselves and start cutting. As Taizong's forces approach Ansi, the mound collapses abruptly, with the miners' task completed. Taizong, dumbfounded at the sight, witnesses Yang charge with the Ansi troops, claiming the remains of the mound. Boiling with arrogance and anger, Taizong commands his army to launch a full-scale attack. In a desperate defense of the mound, Yang and the Ansi army resist Taizong's soldiers with a hail of arrows and burning wheels. The battle rages on for days until the Ansi troops eventually exhaust their ammo. At this point, Yang knows he must kill Taizong to conclude the conflict. The sacred bow and arrow are presented to him as the fighting becomes hand-to-hand between his and Taizong's men. Yang struggles to draw the divine bow initially, but witnessing his men slowly succumbing motivates him. With his remaining vigor, he successfully draws and fires the holy arrow, thinking of Paso Becca and the miners as he does so. The arrow flies true, hitting Taizong directly in the eye and causing him to fall from his steed. Just then, reinforcements arrive in the form of Samuel, Yan, and their army, aiding the Ansi. Realizing he has been bested, Taizong orders his soldiers to withdraw, marking the end of the war. It later transpired that Taizong died from his injuries 3 years after returning home. with his final counsel being to avoid invading Goguryeo. In the aftermath, Yang oversees the rebuild of the Ansi Fortress, while Samuel readies to depart for the capital. Samuel expresses his gratitude to Yang for the fortress's defense and their shared victory in the war. Yang responds, saying it was a team effort and that Samuel is welcome at Ansi any time. Observing Samuel's departure from the fortress wall, Yang feels a sense of accomplishment. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy content like this to support us. Write in the comments the next movie you'd like to see a summary of.